Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. I love seeing some names I recognize, some people we've done business with, some people we've had calls with. So it's fun just to have an opportunity to share our story with everyone. We know that everyone's time is so valuable, especially this kind of midday time. And our hope is that whether you're able to focus 100%, or maybe you're kind of taking care of work or getting some time for lunch or something, that you leave feeling invigorated and feeling like you have seen an example of what is possible. I know when we listen to media and other presentations, we're asking ourselves, like, what are those people doing, and what can we do that's cool stuff that they're doing. And so that's really what we're gonna try to cover here. I'm gonna go back to our first slide here and talk about when Tato and I had the call about speaking to the group. I said, I want to have an opportunity to talk about creating the life that you want. In Keller Williams, the saying is creating a life by design, not by default. And we're all guilty of that, Nick and I included. You get to 5 o'clock of the day, or worse, midnight, and you're thinking, I don't know what I have to show for today, or I've let my mindset go, or I've let my mood go, or my energy, or I said I wanted to prioritize my kids, but really I ended up working until midnight, or I said I wanted to prioritize my business, but instead I ended up sleeping in or something. And what I love about real estate investing is that it gives us a very unique opportunity to create a life by design, to build our lives as a whole, to do so, everyone is likely very familiar with Vivid Vision. So I really think I love like the 3-year Vivid Vision, like the Cameron Herald True Blue Vivid Vision is 3 years, but really having a vision for when you die, when you're in whatever decade. Like, I want to live to be 100. So what do I want my 90s to look like? What do I want my 80s to look like? Going all the way back until what do I want the next few hours to look like? So going all the way out as far in time as I can, and even further than that, what do I want my legacy to look like? What do I want my great grandchildren to be saying about me? What do I want to be said about me in the history books? To what do I want my life to look like for the next few hours? And so that's what we're going to cover a lot in this presentation.
And we're gonna give you some really powerful examples, and we hope that you find them relatable. If you don't, I just want to throw out there that as recently as 2 years ago, Elaine and I were both working a full-time W-2 job. Elaine was a resident physician at the Mayo Clinic, working 1 million hours a week. I was working on our real estate business full-time and managing 13 teams of software engineers in my IT career at Mayo. Somehow, I don't know how I survived that time period. So, we've been working on this, real estate thing and this life thing for many years, but, for people out there who are looking to design the perfect life and currently in the W-2 world, we're 2 years out. It's not that far away. And so we hope that you find this appealing and relatable, and take some of these ideas to heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
how do I advance the slide?
So first of all, that didn't work at all.
Went all the way to the end.
A little preview. So first of all,
I want to. Okay. So here we talk about some of our accomplishments, and you can look at the numbers there. I think what's really important is kind of what Nick hit on there, that we're a real family. So we've been married for almost exactly 10 years. We started from nothing. I won't get into the details, but Nick basically left his mom was a single mom. He left his mom at 14 and went out on his own. I was legally emancipated at 16. So when we met, I think we had probably a combined net. Well, we certainly had a negative net worth, but we probably had a combined cash of maybe $5,000 between the two of us. We met in our early 20s, got married. And I think because of the hardships we had in our childhoods, decided then and there, right when we first met, that we wanted a very different life for ourselves. And I'll be vulnerable in saying when we were younger, it was more about money and success. And then as we had money and success, we realized that only gets you so far. It's really about who we've become through our business. So I think of the quote, "It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves." We climb the mountain to get to the top and to get that beautiful view. but really, like, think about the times in your life that you climbed that mountain, or maybe did like a cool like surfing, or kind of a perfect day, or even like a perfect business deal. It's not really like that moment. Like when you're standing at the top of the mountain, yeah, you're looking around and you're looking at the sun and the other mountains and the trees and whatever, but you're feeling the pride of the work that it took to get there. So I know I've had plenty of mountains in my life that I've climbed on foot, and I've had plenty that I've driven up, and I love both of them. But I remember the ones that I climbed in a way that I don't remember the ones that I've driven up. And so we're a very real family. You see our kids there. You know, Nick said like 2 years ago, we were both in W-2 employment, and there's so much more to it than that. Like, I've struggled with postpartum depression with our children. We've had real fights. We've had real family problems. We've had problems in our business, problems in our life. But being in business and being in real estate has really allowed us to become the people we want to be through the vehicle of our business. And so like mindset coaching is a great example of that. Like, we're able to take the lessons that we learn from mindset coaching that like on the surface we're doing to become better business people, but really we're applying it to our marriage, to our children, to the way we interact with our friends, our family, and just, again, going back to that statement of wanting to be an example of what is possible.
Absolutely. And we've got a lot of financial here, but I hope we really challenge you here in the next couple of slides. So we hear a lot about the concept of work-life balance. That was one of the questions there. So we're going to speak to that directly. I've got two words for that: fuck balance. This is a concept that is completely unappealing to me. I'm a person who loves to live in extremes, in a positive way. If there's something I'm excited about, I pursue it with every ounce of my being. And you could say that Elaine and I work 1 million hours a week, or you could say that we don't work at all. And I think both of those statements could be completely true, and it's completely a matter of mindset and perspective. And we love the idea of the integrated life, and that's not a concept we've heard a lot about, or I don't know, maybe there's a podcast out there we haven't heard or something, but certainly the idea that that we practice, that in all that we do, we hope that we are integrating the different facets of our life. We hope that how we invest in real estate is a natural extension of our relationship with one another, and our spiritual beliefs, and our relationship with our community and our staff and our tenants. If we did anything that we weren't, proud to see on the front page of the newspaper, we wouldn't want to do that thing in any aspect of our life. And by integrating all the different facets of our life, we have a kind of balance, I guess you could call it. But in the modern world, I think the whole concept of work-life balance is pretty far-fetched. So, 50 years ago, maybe you could punch in and punch out and be disconnected from work. That's just not feasible today in most lines of work. And real estate is really powerful because you are not necessarily being compensated for your time. Your compensation, the amount that you earn, is totally decoupled from the number of hours you put in. However, it is very much a game where time favors you, where calendar days, not necessarily clock hours, favors you, and you need to be ready when opportunities come along. You need to be pursuing limitless numbers of opportunities to see where your fate is pulled, and you need to be constantly placing yourself in the way of opportunity. And we really want to challenge your idea of what financial freedom is altogether. So we hear a lot of people talk about getting invested in real estate to get passive income, and then they can sit on a beach. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as passive income, right? Let's divorce ourselves from that concept. It's a gibberish concept. No matter what you invest in, it's never completely passive. If you own a stock portfolio, you have to file some taxes. Hopefully you're checking on how it's performing from time to time. If you have a rental property, it's much more active, even if you've hired a property manager. And we see a lot of people make some pretty serious errors in their strategy and their tactics in real estate investing, and in every aspect of their life, when it seems like they're trying to get something for nothing, and trying to bring no value to a deal, but somehow get some kind of passive income out of it. So we're going to recommend that you lean into the thing that you do that creates the most value, the thing that you are most excited about. And maybe it's a couple of things. There's probably one big thing that you do that is unique and valuable, a kind of value you can offer the universe. And we would argue that you are never going to work towards sitting on a beach and getting a passive income stream out of that thing. Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos are not famous for sitting on a beach. And we have met a lot of people and coached a lot of people who go from the transition from the W-2 world to the real estate investment kind of world. And then we've seen a lot of people who go from the transition from that to financial freedom. I can tell you that transition is a brief one. You days, literally days. You spend a few days, you're like, okay, I've hit my freedom number. I never have to work again. What am I going to do? And people have to have an answer to that question. And I think the answer is an integrated life and a big life and an amazing life. And that's what we want to talk to you about today.
Yeah. So before I ran our real estate business full time, I was a practicing psychiatrist, and I would have a different talk with people about retirement. So patients would come to me and say, I'm retiring in a year, or I'm retiring in 5 years. And these are people who are more traditional retirement age, more traditional retirement from their W-2 employment with like Social Security and pensions. And I would immediately jump into, well, what is your plan? Because we know that the data shows that particularly men, when they retire, they are extraordinarily at a higher risk of dying. We don't exactly know why, but it probably has something to do with a sense of purpose, a sense of connection, a sense of community. And so I think they would think like I wanted to pat them on the back or something. And instead I'm like, okay, well, what are you, the day you were done working, what are you doing? Who are you calling? What family member are you connecting with? What project are you working on? What charity are you contributing to? What volunteer project are you working on? And so imagine accelerating that timeline. Nick and I are both in our 30s. So, and we have reached financial freedom. We've been here for several years. We are kind of, for all intents and purposes, retired. But Nick is exactly right that you have to think about, well, then what's the plan after that? And the beach is great. We've had many very luxurious vacations, experiences we never thought we could have. Tony Robbins calls it the astronaut problem. So what do you do after you've landed on the moon? Like what did those humans like literally do? Like they had been on the moon. They had done something that like a few humans ever in the history of humanity had done. And then they had to come back and live with us on Earth. Like how do you find purpose after that? You have to keep growing.
And those astronauts, they became drug addicts and alcoholics and struggled with depression.
Yep.
And this is something you need to be thinking about. What are you working towards? Because if you don't have a plan for an integrated life, if you don't have a plan for financial freedom, that's what's waiting for you.
Yeah. So I really think of, and we're going to kind of go through in the presentation, but be thinking about what's next when you reach this mythical financial freedom or this opportunity to leave W-2 employment. What comes after that? And there's a whole lot of great things that come with it: freedom of time, freedom of decisions, freedom of relationships, freedom of legacy. I kind of botched some of those. There's I believe it's Dan Sullivan has the 4 freedoms, and I don't know them exactly, but the freedom to make decisions. But I can promise you that it's not just sitting on a beach or looking at your balance sheet or something. You have to continue to grow, and you have to continue to contribute. And the really amazing thing about real estate is real estate can grow with you. So maybe you reach a certain number, let's say it's 100,000 a year that you want in your of cash flow you want from your portfolio to reach your financial freedom number. Then maybe you do decide to take a week, a month, a year to sit on the beach or RV around the country with your family or backpack in Europe or whatever. Like, certainly enjoy what you have created. That's not what we're saying here, is not to enjoy what you've created, but then be thinking about what can you do next. And the amazing thing about real estate is you can just keep going. We've done property management, we've put big deals together. People can do all sorts of things. I know there's people here on this call that have put together like businesses to do like lead gen or other things related to real estate. There's a concept in capitalism that I'm sure everyone has heard. You have to make money when you sleep, or you'll work forever. And then everyone has heard that the largest number of millionaires comes from real estate. I'm sure, you're probably thinking, yep, I've known that for years. That's why I'm here. But the people who are most successful in capitalism take money from their business. So for us, it was our W-2 careers. Likely for a lot of people here, it's their W-2 careers. Use that money on real estate investments. And then when your real estate investments become large enough, you create businesses around your real estate investments. And when you look historically at the people who have had the largest amount of success in capitalism, it's those folks. So for us, it's like a property management company that we've created around our real estate portfolio. But the freedom to decide what you want next, maybe it's charitable work, maybe it's a different kind of business, maybe it's more real estate assets, maybe it's helping other people with real estate assets, maybe it's education, maybe it's lead gen, maybe it's, we have friends that own like companies where they help connect people with like virtual assistants, like we have people that own construction companies, like that level of freedom of, I just want to wake up and just create what I want to create today is really the goal. And being able to get to that place is really like the most beautiful thing we've ever experienced. And we basically just want as many other humans as possible to experience that as well.
It bears repeating this concept is so profound. And I guess maybe this is like our trademark thing or whatever, but the pattern that we've observed is the most successful people, they make money doing something, they invest that money in real estate, and then they build businesses around that real estate. So I think a lot of people have this notion of, I'm going to buy a single family home and then quit my job, and then somehow I'm financially free or something. There's a lot of work that happens on the front end to get that portfolio started. Mm-hmm. And then after the portfolio is started, there's a lot more work after that part too. And I feel like people do not speak to that enough. So we're gonna speak to that a little bit today.
Pat, throughout, I appreciate that. I remember when we had that phone call, we take this straight from Gary Keller. Gary Keller says, create a vision that's so large that other people feel comfortable building their empire inside of your empire. So for example, people might ask us, if you look at like our numbers, we have a very successful real estate team, and we're at Keller Williams, and people might say, well, why don't you leave Keller Williams? Why don't you go off and make your own brokerage? Something we might do in the future. Absolutely. I don't want to say that we wouldn't do that. But Gary has created such an amazing empire with such a fabulous culture and community that we love paying whatever we have to pay to Keller Williams to be a part of that empire so that we can grow our empire inside of that empire. I can attest to you that if our brokerage called today and said, oops, your fees are double, no problem. We pay them to be in that empire. And that's what we're creating for the people that work with us. So we have investors who have, many single family homes that we manage, that we've helped them acquire, are doing larger assets with us. Our staff are becoming real estate investors. So we call him our chief of staff. He's kind of our director of growth. When he started with us, he was living in we'll call it a rundown triplex. And he now has a very nice single family.
Renting that triplex.
Renting it. Yep. Yeah. Renting it. Good distinction. He now has a very nice single family home that he lives in with his family, and a portfolio of 5 doors in the span of about 18 months. And the credit certainly does not go all to Nick and I. Absolutely not. He has built that through his own hard work and perseverance and saving money and putting in sweat equity. But I think that we have been an example for him of what is possible. And because he's around us all day, every day, and there's no scarcity mentality. When a deal comes up, when he has money and he's ready to buy, we know that when a deal comes up, it's his, and we're looking for what's the deal for you, because we know that together we can build a much bigger empire than any of us can apart. And there's no sense like fighting over like one deal or one thing. Like there is plenty for everyone. There always will be, if you just have a big enough vision to find it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about just what an example day looks like in an integrated life. And we hope that this is something that you get very excited about.
This is why we don't have our double monitors.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of inception here. So that photo is us right now. So right now we are in a hotel room doing this presentation today because we have a full life. And this is like a pretty typical day for us. So we're doing a photo shoot with our family today. Now those photos are tax deductible because we use that photo shoot in all of our promotional material. You saw our last family photo shoot as the first slide in this slide deck, because our family is our business. Our community is our business. It's all completely integrated here. We've had multiple mastermind calls that we were on. We had to drive 2 hours to get to our photographer. So we dropped our kids off at school, hit the road, and we're both working the phone doing masterminds and stuff and checking in with our accountability partners as we're driving up here. We got here and we're managing our team on Slack and checking with our team, making sure that the wheels are staying on the bus with our team. We got here and we went to a library and we went to a community college expecting to find a spot to do this presentation, and realized that there was everything's closed for COVID. I don't know how this didn't occur to us. And so we're like, okay, what do we do? And we just got a hotel room. And this was, just like we had minutes to spare. I
literally was like, we'll just do it outside, standing in the cold, and then we'll get hot chocolate afterwards.
It's like 40
and Nick was like,
degrees.
I'm not going to let you freeze.
You guys, can I just pause and say how dedicated to the craft you are? I'm dying right now. I cannot believe that's the reason you got a hotel room. I was trying to understand where the hotel room fit in, and now I understand. And I'm like, I have chills.
We needed heating and internet.
Unbelievable.
In a post-COVID world.
And we had to get it in like 10 minutes after spending a half hour going around town. And by the way, it is truly always darkest before the dawn.
Oh yeah, I'm like, Nick, I'm practicing my mindset skills. Nick, I'm not going to cry. Nick, it's going to be okay if we have to do it in the cold.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just like, no, that is not acceptable. We're not going to do presentation with that kind of energy. There is a solution. The universe will provide a way. And I saw a hotel as we were literally wandering around town, leaving the technical college. And I'm like, we're going to get a room there and we're going to check in early for free. And then that's exactly what happened. So by definition, those who refuse to give up cannot fail. I hope, if nothing,
absolutely
nothing else, I hope it's that.
Unbelievable. Okay, carry on.
So then we have to meet with our attorney. We now have this very convenient conference space here. And then we're going to do our family photos, and hopefully we're going to be in a beautiful state for those family photos. Photos are worthless if you're in a terrible mood, and anyone here who's done a family photo shoot with a bunch of young children understands how impossible that goal is. I'm sure a few divorces have come about as a result of family photo shoots with small children. But how are we going to get our kids here? We're two hours away from our kids. So one of our staff members, so we dropped off a minivan this morning with child safety seats and stuff for our staff member, took our other minivan up here. Our staff member is going to go pick up our kids at the exact right time to get them here, and probably give them some food or something along the way, or get here with food, and then help us, you get extra sets of hands to have a family photo shoot, and then do our family photo shoot. Now that we have a hotel, maybe we're going to make a date night out of this or something, and stay overnight and send the other van home with our staff member.
We should send the kids home too.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. So, we don't have a plan per se. Plans are useless, but planning is everything. And throughout the day, we're doing calls with our investors. We just got a $10 million deal under contract last week, and we're under the gun to do our capital raise right now. So, we're doing calls with investors as we're driving around and making time. And you could say that this is like we're working a lot, right? You could say that, our photo shoot is like a publicity shoot. No, like family photos are really important. This is like a catalog of our life. It's kind of like the most important thing in a lot of ways. And you could say that our staff is working around the clock for us. How excited do you think our staff person is to, take a half day off and drive our kids around and help us with our photo shoot? Our staff are intoxicated with our life. They they radiate energy just being in our proximity, and they would need a really big reason to leave us. And if you're having a hard time motivating your staff to do whatever it is that they need to do, then that means that you need to give them more energy. Just like we're at Keller Williams because of Gary Keller's energy, and our staff members are with us for the exact same reason. So, our staff sees the life that we practice, and it's what they want for themselves. And they just want to be around that example as much as they possibly can, because they know that they will have that merely being around us. And it's totally true. You're the average of the 5 people you spend most amount of time with.
And I'll speak to how we've created this life where an outsider might look and say oh, they're working all of the time. And don't get me wrong, there are days when it feels like, man, we have worked all day today. But the vast majority of the time we don't feel that way. So for example, we're meeting with our attorney here later this afternoon via Zoom. We have had the same attorney for about 6 years now. We went to him with like an 8-week-old baby, our first baby, and he was a referral to us by a fellow physician. And so I had a level of trust with him. And we said, Brian, we're Nick and Elaine. We just had this baby. We don't have a single family member on earth. What do we do if we both die? I was just in medical school. I was spending all day, every day learning about how the human body can fail you. And we had this brand new baby. And he cared for us, and he built an estate plan for us and a trust, when literally the only thing we had in that trust was like a $100,000 life insurance policy that would have been given to our child via some very close trusted friends that would care for her if we both passed away. And we told him then, like, these are the plans that we have for ourselves. We want to have like 5 or 6 kids. We want to build this business.
One day we will be very rich.
We were like negotiating the fees with him. We're like, well, we can't pay you this right now. It was like $5,000. And we were like, how about 3,000? But I promise we'll be your lifetime customers.
That's right. That's right.
And we are. And we meet with him, and he has shepherded us through.
And he believed in us.
He believed in us. He did. Yeah. There was like a 3-year period where we didn't really connect because like there wasn't much going on in our lives. We were kind of chugging along, building our real estate portfolio. We had a kid, but didn't have like anything like big and new to talk about. Really, once you make an estate plan, the point of an estate plan is it's supposed to be rather set in stone. But then we had our 3rd kid. Our real estate portfolio was hitting close to like 20 million. And we were like, wow, we really need to connect with Brian. And we lived in an entirely different part of the country. We had different friends. And we said, we really need to connect with Brian and like redo our estate plan. And I just remember him saying, like, of course you called. Like, of course you called. So the moral of the story there is not that Brian's an excellent attorney, or even that you should go find yourself an excellent attorney, although both of those things are true. The moral of the story is find people who believe in you.
That's right.
Find people, I'm getting choked up. Find people who see things in you that maybe you don't see at all yourself, or maybe like you do, but you're like kind of not sure. You're like, well, maybe I like could like buy that next real estate deal, or maybe I like could put together a syndication, but I'm not sure. Like find that person that's like, that's bullshit. You can do that. You can put together that syndication and 13 others. I know that you're going to accomplish these things. And when you ask them like, well, why? Like, or why do you think that about me? Or they're not concerned with that. They're like, I just see it in you. I just know it. Coaching is a great way to find that. Fellow like-minded people who are in like coaching and mastermind spaces are a great way to find that. But that's the example there of like, yeah, we're meeting with our attorney. We're going to have like a 90-minute meeting with him here later this afternoon. And that could be construed as like boring and it's going to like cost us a lot of money and whatever. We get to meet with someone who has known us since we had nothing, which is a very valuable relationship to have, who has seen us all the way through, who has believed in us since the beginning, and who we know it, like has our backs. Like he's legally obligated to have our backs, but you can tell in our relationship that he has our backs. So we're like excited. We're like, oh, we get to see Brian today. He's going to be so fun. Like we do all of our calls on Zoom because we love just seeing each other. Other examples of that are,
let's go.
Other examples of that are we have an investor who is a physician who's doing some locum work.
Can't move it.
Like, can someone?
All right, Amy,
You
mute
got
yourself.
karate, you got cook for him, you got beat up, I'm done.
Elaine, you should be able to mute her.
Yeah, Nick.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Who like a locums physician is someone who like comes to a hospital and kind of like a substitute teacher. So she was in town for a little while, and we met up with her and just like walked around our town for like 2 hours. And she's a very kind person. And multiple times through the night, she would say like, I can't believe you're giving me so much time, or your time is so valuable, or do you guys need to go home? And like, listen, like this is what we live for. Like we love to learn about you, for you to learn about us, for us to spend time together. We're getting 2 hours of exercise, 2 hours of sunshine. Like we would pay you for you to walk with us. Like, what do you mean? Like, you know, you're taking up so much of our valuable time. And you know, we do business together. She owns multiple single family homes that we manage. She'll probably do some capital investment in some of our larger deals. But we got to just like talk about parenting and medicine, and she also like works with her spouse and kind of how that goes, and politics and capitalism and just all sorts of fun stuff. Another example is we just got under contract on a large deal. Immediately, there's the pictures there. So we got under contract we live in Rochester, Minnesota. We got under contract on a deal in Tacoma, Washington. We found out on a Tuesday. We flew out on a Wednesday. We've never done that before. I don't think I've planned a trip with less than like a month's notice before in my life. We're like, well, we need to go. We have a 42-day due diligence period. We can't waste a single day. We're going to get out there. Obviously, it was like a little bit of a vacation. You know, we didn't have our children with us. We were able to like sit at a normal place and have like the normal conversation and not shepherding monkeys and stuff. I'll let you tell the story there.
So this is the integrated life. Like you could totally see, oh my God, this huge thing happened and we have to jump on a plane tomorrow with a moment's notice. That's really disruptive, or that's really frustrating. Or you could think this is spontaneous and exciting, and I can't believe we got it, because we didn't get it and then it came back to us, and we could go out there and we could be like, okay, let's get in and out as quickly as we can and do our job and get back home. And instead we took an extra couple of days, and we went out to fine restaurants and we got a swanky hotel room, and we really took the time that we needed to work with our operational partner there and do all the like very careful relationship work, face-to-face, hand-to-hand relationship work that we need to do. And so just by coincidence, 10 years ago, so 2011 June, I proposed to Elaine at Mount Rainier. And so I brought a little trinket with me that Elaine didn't know about. And I'm like, Tacoma's right next to Mount Rainier. We should go out and check it out or whatever when we go out there. And, the first time we went up as high as we could, and I found someone, who like as high up as I could find another person, I kind of gave him a camera and said, go ahead and record what you see. And, I've got a little video of our proposal and everything. And we did the exact same thing this time. A lot of it was closed because it's not quite as late in the season, but got down on one knee and gave her a little something, and said, "Would you still marry me?" And she said yes. And so like if we did nothing else but that, like that would be worth it. Oh, and by the way, we sent that video to our investors as part of our slide deck for the capital raise for the deal. You could say that this is work, right? You could say that we work all the time, or you could say that we never work a day in our life. I can't believe that we got to go on this fancy trip and meet amazing people, and I got to commemorate the best day of my life when my wife said she'd spend the rest of her life with me, and go to a beautiful place, and somehow we're getting paid to do it. Like that's the part that blows my mind. That's the mindset that I live in.
Mm-hmm.
And you could apply this mindset to any area of your life, or you could apply this to any kind of vocation or industry. I do think that real estate lends itself uniquely well to this kind of approach. And I hope you can see how this is a radically different perspective from how can I get something for nothing? How can I have passive income? How can I, get out of the rat race and go sit on a beach? No, we are working 16 hours a day, doing the coolest stuff I could possibly imagine that I can't believe I have the privilege to do. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The people who play at this level, this is how they all live.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they all live. We don't know anyone that has a life that we envy that doesn't live like this. And we have adopted this life because of that example.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just like, that seems really cool. Let's give that a try.
When Nick was like, we'll go to a hotel, part of it was that you could physically see the hotel, but then he said, I learned that at Business Mastery. I went to a Tony Robbins event like 2 years ago, and they talked about that. Like we went to a conference that was fun and like met a bunch of people who we still have relationships with years later. But it was tough work. We spent a lot of money to be at that conference. We were away from our children. It takes a lot of time. But like today, 2 years later, we're having like a pretty cool day because of the dividends that we have from that thing. And I do want to say, I promised at the beginning that we would talk about this being real and being very relatable. And some of the people on the call maybe are still working a W-2 job, or maybe don't have the cash flow or the financial freedom levels that maybe other people have on the call. But this mindset went back to when we had nothing. So our very first deal was a foreclosure we bought in Oklahoma City. It had been vacant for about 10 years. And we paid $35,000 for it. It took us about 2 years to save up that amount of money. We didn't even have the money to renovate it. We had to put all of the materials on credit cards and do like net 30 and net 60 with the contractors, because like we had to pay like a professional HVAC, a professional roofer. So we had to say like, well, can we pay you in like 30 days or 60 days when we like refi this thing? And we had to put in a ton of sweat equity because that was the only way we could make the numbers work. And we got that deal under contract in December of 2014. And that was the month that I found out I was pregnant with our first baby. And it took us about a month to rehab that project. And we did most of it ourselves. And I miscarried that baby during that month. And
you were laying 1,000 feet of ceramic tile, some of the most nasty back-breaking work you can do on a house, because we've done everything you can do to a house ourselves at least once, while you were miscarrying our first baby.
Yep. And Nick was like, are you sure you don't just want to like stay home and like take it easy? Like, is your body hurting? Are you sad? I'm like, oh yeah, my body hurts. It's like some of the worst pain I've ever had. And yeah, I'm like really sad. We've wanted this baby for years. But I know that I can either lay at home and kind of whine. Don't get me wrong, morning is important. Do the morning. But once you're done with the morning, like don't continue to whine. This is what I was telling myself. Go build something that will be there. So I didn't know if I would get pregnant again. I didn't know when I would get pregnant again, but I knew that I would have that house a year from then, 5 years from then. We still have that house to this day. It has generated an extraordinary amount of cash flow. It taught us, more important than any of the financial gains, it taught us so much about real estate investing. It really got the first deal is always the hardest. That's what got the ball rolling. And so, yeah, it's trips and hanging out with friends and doing cool deals and stuff like that. But it's also literally like bruising up my knees as I'm miscarrying a baby, because we would say to each other, well, we can't control this being the miscarriage, but we can control that being the real estate renovation. And we know that we have this future vision for ourselves, and we're going to do whatever we can to get there. I got pregnant just the very next month. We were very lucky. We went on to have a very healthy baby. But when I think back to December of 2014, and I think of how hard we were working, I was still in medical school, so I would study all day. And
I was still working a full-time W-2 job.
And then we would work on this house until like midnight. Oh, and it was December in Oklahoma City, and the place no heat because we hadn't renovated the HVAC yet.
Mildly terrifying place, boarded up windows and stuff. And
yeah, so it's like 40 degrees out. I'm miscarrying a baby. My knees are all bruised up from laying tile. But we just had this mindset that we weren't working. We were building the future.
That's right. There's a lot of, so we've shown you what I think is like a glimpse of some, an example day, an example thing we did last week of what, might be like a sexy life, or I don't know what to call it, like an example you might want to follow. We see gurus and different people out there on podcasts saying, oh, well, real estate investment is easy. You just put together the debt and the cash and the deal, and you don't have to bring anything, no money down, and then you make passive income. Like, we don't believe in that. The people that we see that are very successful, they work their tails off. And most importantly, they do the hard thing. They do the thing that other people aren't willing to do. That's where the value is. And so, for example, no one likes to manage properties. We'll just hire a property manager. We don't have to do the day-to-day. We're above that. Heck no, that's where all the value is. We own the property management company, and that's our massive advantage that no one else can match. So when we're underwriting a deal to acquire, we're looking at a totally different set of financials because we own the property management company. We have a construction company. We've got 10, 15 job sites going at any given time. And that's the thing that people don't want to do. And if you focus on doing the hard thing and you do the hard thing first and the things where you have a unique advantage, you're going to be successful. And you're going to build that muscle of doing the hard thing. The life that we lead, the life that we think other people might want to lead, it's a fucking awesome life. I can't believe I get to live it. Like, I wake up in the morning, I'm just like, I can't believe I live in this house and I have this wife and I've got these kids and I get to do this thing today. It's not easy. I don't expect it to ever be easy. Struggle is how I know I'm alive. That feeling of resistance the feeling of stretching yourself. And I hope the day I die, I forget what Elaine said. I hope the day I die, I'm a little uncomfortable and doing something that I'm not quite sure how to do, or that I've never done before.
It's a very famous quote. It's not from me. I don't know who to attribute it to. I hope that when I stand before God at the end of my life, I say I gave it my all.
So do the hard thing. Like you're not going to get a message from us that real estate is like a get rich quick scheme. In fact, it's very much a get rich slow kind of system. It's merely a get rich for sure kind of system. And time is on your side. You don't wait and then buy real estate. You buy real estate and then you wait. You get good debt in place. You get good management in place. You do whatever you need to do, and then you just wait and go do more deals. But like that part is not super sexy. And to do good deals, you have to do the hard thing. So let's talk about something else we're very excited about, which is polarity.
I would say like the number 2 thing we get after people want to hear about our real estate deals is how do you work with your spouse? So
Right.
Nick and I are quite literally together about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, probably 28 days out of any given month. We're spending a little bit less time together because we're now driving separately. So we're like apart for about an hour a day. But it's a tall order, and we get a lot of joy and fun out of it. But it's something that is different and something that people ask us about, like, well, how do you keep your relationship healthy? And even if you're not spending 24 hours a day with your partner, if you're investing in real estate, and you have a partner, I hope that you're including that partner in the decisions, and in building that future together. And there will likely be one partner that's maybe a little ahead at any given time. It happens to us. It happens to us in the beginning. But when you're both rowing in the same direction, you can get so much farther, and it's just so much more fun. And it's not impossible to build a really amazing real estate portfolio or the life that you get from financial freedom if your partner's not engaged, but it is so much harder because you're going this way and they're scared or upset or worried about the time that it's taking or the money that it's taking or the risk or that you might outgrow them, all sorts of things. But when you're pulling in the same direction, you're just like just a machine. You just get so far so fast.
Is really it's interesting because when people ask us, this question, the question usually takes the form of, how do I get my spouse to be okay with investing in real estate? How do I get my spouse to be okay with me investing in real estate? And you can tell they're lost before they even start. They're asking the wrong questions. You ask low quality questions, you get low quality answers. That kind of energy is not going to build an amazing life. A better question would be, what does my spouse want? How can I make my goals align with my spouse's goals? How can I structure this so that my spouse is so excited about this that I can't hold them back? That I'm a little scared at how excited they are.
And it can start with like really simple things. Like we had a friend who the male partner really wanted to do real estate. The female partner didn't. And he asked her, what would be exciting to you if I did a deal? And she said, I really want a very expensive purse every time you put a deal together. And so he's buying houses. This was many years ago. So let's say he's buying houses at like $100,000 a pop, and this like very expensive purse is like $1,000. So it's like a 1% difference, like not material. If that $1,000 was enough that it submarined the deal, well, then it wasn't a good deal in the first place. But it brings so much joy, or it brought so much joy to her. And it started as something like quite like material and kind of petty. And today they are rock star real estate investors. They're able to laugh about that, to joke about that energy that she had, that like, she was like, I didn't think he was like really serious. Like I would have, probably said something better than a purse. But start by starting with getting your partner excited about it, or more excited if they're like, well, yeah, sure. Like, I don't care what you do. Like, but when they're like really engaged with it, and maybe it's not a romantic partner, maybe it's a business partner or a family member. This doesn't have to be in the context of a romantic relationship. But just the idea that when there's multiple people rowing a boat in the same direction, you're going to get further.
Absolutely. We, a member of our team, he wanted to buy an investment property. His partner did not. And, we believe in very holistic, principles in every aspect of our business. So I was doing a bunch of polarity coaching with this member of our team, because if you don't have a strong relationship with your spouse, like nothing else is going to feel good. Nothing is going to be fun. And I said, you have to ask your spouse what they want. Like if you are trying to go in one direction, they're going to go in another. Like eventually you might be able to wear them down and they'll acquiesce. Like that doesn't sound very exciting. And so he went and asked his spouse that night, why don't you feel comfortable with investing in real estate? What can I do to make you feel comfortable with investing in real estate? What would make you excited about investing in real estate? And spouse said, we've got all these student loans, and it really scares me, the risk of all this additional debt and investment. I don't feel comfortable investing in real estate until we pay off our student loans. And he had saved up over years, he'd saved up a bunch of money for investing in real estate. And he said, what the heck do I do? And I said, I think the course is pretty clear. You have to pay off that debt. And he's like, but it's going to take us years to come back around. And I said, no, I promise you it will happen faster than you can possibly expect. When you do the thing that sets your partner on fire, the universe conspires to give you everything that you want, and with gleeful joy. And they ended up buying an investment property. Well,
they didn't even pay off the student loans, just that he went to her with a real genuine heart, not a gimmick, not a game, not a technique, a real genuine heart of, let's pay off your student loans.
Yeah.
That's what you want. And if you want that, then that's what I want for you. And that gave her the peace to say, you would do that for me, or you're okay with that, or you care so much about what my hopes and goals are. Oh, okay. Let's look at the math again. How could we profit from taking this money and putting it into real estate instead? Oh, we could put the cash flow from that property to the student loans, and just the feeling that he was there for her and would give her anything she wanted made her say, that's okay. We don't actually have to pay them off. Go ahead and take that money and put it as a down payment. It can't be a gimmick. It can't be a technique. It has to come from the heart. It has to be very genuine.
So polarity, it's the most powerful source of energy in the entire human experience. If you have juice with your partner, you will be able to go conquer mountains. And I promise you that if you focus on this area of your life, everything else will be easier, more fun, more exciting. And let me be painfully clear about this. We have a hotel room. We're going to make sure we take advantage of the fact that we happen to have a hotel room without kids in the middle of the day. And that's going to give us amazing energy for our photo shoot. I couldn't imagine a better preamble to a family photo shoot than having some time with my partner. And if you aren't thinking about life from this perspective of how can I energize my partner and meet their needs and make them hungry to meet my needs, if you're not approaching it from that perspective, you are missing out on the most invigorating source of energy in the entire human experience. So we've talked a lot about some kind of a few abstract things. There's a few very concrete things I think that we can recommend here to get started on your journey. So take the first step. Just stop listening to us for a second. What is the next step that you can take right now in your real estate journey? What is there a lender that you need to speak with? Is there a real estate agent that you need to speak with? You probably know, and you're probably just not doing it for some reason. Listening to the rest of this is going to be so much less valuable than just getting off this call and calling the person that you need to take that next step. And you may not know what the whole journey looks like. If you speak with a lender, do you think they might be able to give you some guidance on what the next step looks like? If you speak with an agent, do you think they might be able to give you some guidance on what the next step looks like? I think so. You don't need to know what the end is going to look like in order to start, and you are never going to get anywhere if you don't start. So this is a very sincere call to action. Whatever that next step is that you're missing right now, please take that step right now. Don't delay. You know what you want. You just have to do it right now.
The path will reveal itself. So Michael Singer is famous for the surrender experiment, basically the idea that, our human minds are, let's say the average age of people listening is, say, 40 years old. So we have 40 years of experience that we can use for planning, visioning, goal setting, dreaming, hoping. The universe is billions of years old. And if you have a religious preference, the God that you believe in is an infinite amount of time of years old. Is it possible that universe or that God has bigger dreams for you, has bigger hopes for you than your, say, 40-year-old brain can come up with? And so if you just surrender to what life can create, and it kind of goes back to the saying Nick said earlier that we say so often to ourselves, plans are useless, but planning is everything. Do the vivid vision, do the forecasting, do the planning, do the business planning, do all of that. But then also have that element of surrender, that it's very possible that the universe, that life, that God, that whomever has a bigger, better plan than you could ever envision for yourself. And your role in co-creating that, or our roles in co-creating it for ourselves, is just to take the first step and just to wake up every day and say, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step?
Where do I feel pulled today?
Yep. And being vulnerable and transparent with people. We've had lots of phone calls with, gosh, we just wrote an offer on a $20 million deal in quarter 1, and we didn't get it. But we talked to that listing broker and we said, well, we've never written an offer on a $20 million deal. What do we do? and just being like transparent and vulnerable there of, we're here, we're committed, we're going to do what we say, we're going to do our part. We're very serious about this. We actually did write the strongest offer, but it was a REIT and they wanted to sell it to another REIT. They didn't want to sell it to a local owner. But if we had not taken that step to call him, but then to couple it with that vulnerability of, we know like 90% of what we need to do next, but we don't know all of it. Like, we're just here and we're just showing up and taking ourselves where the universe or life wants to take us, but take that next step.
You know, you couldn't script this better. So when we called the listing broker on this $20 million deal, we said, what can we do to provide the most amount of value for the seller and for you? Listing brokers get bombarded with calls. You probably get 500 calls in this particular listing, and he was trying really hard to run us off the phone. And I said, here's what we think an offer would look like. Would that be valuable to you, to the seller? What could be more valuable? We led with transparency and said, yep, we were very experienced investors. We've got everything we need to close, but this is going to be the biggest offer we've ever written. What kind of guidance could you give us to make this the strongest possible offer? You think about like you're negotiating with this counterparty or whatever. To hell with that. Like just be transparent. And obviously we're being very vulnerable here, right? Most people are going to call this, number one listing broker in the market and say, oh yeah, I'm amazing, I've done 1 million deals, even though that's not true. And I find no value in pretending to be someone you're not. I find there to be extraordinary value in being hopelessly vulnerable with people in all that you do. And you will find out very quickly who you should trust. And this algorithm, it's baked into our DNA, it's baked into our soul, that when we are vulnerable with other people, they are vulnerable with us. When we're transparent with people, they are transparent with us. And when they're not, you immediately know who you shouldn't do business with.
Mm-hmm.
And on that offer
we
call,
have ended business relationships because one of us will just say, just something didn't feel right.
Yeah.
There's clearly something.
I don't feel like I can trust them.
I don't. Yeah.
Yep. You want to give people ample opportunity to disappoint you early and often in your relationships, because relationships are our greatest asset. And that's what we told the listing broker. We said, listen, we don't care about this $20 million deal. This is small potatoes. We care about you. We care about our relationship with you. We care about the 10 deals we're going to do with you over the next 10 years. That's what's really important. And when he still wasn't taking us seriously, I said, excuse me, I just feel the need to call it like I see it. I feel like you're not taking us seriously. I feel like you're not listening to us. What do we need to do to have your attention? And he kind of snapped out and he's like, no, this is good. This is good. Like that moment, like disarm people, humble people with your transparency and your vulnerability.
That's an accusation audit from Chris Voss. So
yes.
Everything that we're out of time here, everything that we've talked about in the last 57 minutes has all come from other people, books, podcasts, coaching, this community, other like-minded communities, just taking those pieces, kind of putting it together. I hope this has been really valuable. We'll open up if anyone does have any questions. We have a Facebook group, Single Family at Scale. You can join that. We have a free video series that we put together at Single Family at Scale. It's I think like an 8 video series. It's like probably 12 hours of content that tells you everything about exactly how we build our business, like what toilets we use, what paint we use, how we structure our agreements, how we build a property management company, how we get debt. So that's kind of the nitty gritty. We wanted this to be very aspirational, very fun. But if you want kind of the nitty gritty stuff, which is very valuable, and that's why we put this together, is we felt like there was a gap in the market for people to say, like, let's get out of the clouds a little bit and down on the ground. How do you actually put deals together, actually do renovations? That's where we put together single family at scale, but we're willing to entertain any questions if anyone has anything.
Swear to God, I like had chills the entire time. This was the most fantastic, transparent presentation probably I've ever seen. Like the realest thing ever. It was so fantastic. And you didn't even talk tactically about real estate, which was almost the best part because I was just like riveted the entire time. So thank you so much. If anybody has a question, feel free to unmute and we could take this last, couple minutes.
I'll just say this was an amazing presentation, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
I hope this is a first draft of like some future presentation you're like building up to. This should not be a one-off. This is like beyond incredible.
30 minutes before our meeting today. So
every presentation we've ever put together is a first draft, and it's always done that first time right then and there.
Elaine never saw it before she ran through it. I'm like, hey, do you want to see the slide? She's like, nah, it's fine. This is the nice thing about transparency, by the way. It saves so much time to just be like transparent past the point of fault with everybody.
Totally.
Like everything just takes care of itself.
Fantastic.
I do have one quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
So you briefly talked about patterns. I'm just curious, what negative patterns did you guys have to overcome to really kind of get you on the path towards, where you're at now, I guess?
Being too conservative, being too fearful, worrying that we're going to lose money, that we couldn't grow that big, we couldn't go that fast. And I think that is an advantage. I mean, we came of age in the wake of the 08 crash.
Mm-hmm.
So like scarcity is baked into our like real estate mindset.
I was
DNA.
22 and Nick was 25 in the 2008 crash. So we were watching like all of our friends graduate from college and not be able to get jobs and that sort of thing. So I would say that for me, I indulge in frustration, and that's a daily thing. Like that's not something that's like in the past of, oh, I've conquered that. That's like we're driving here and I'm like, Nick, we tried the library, we tried the community college. Like, why did we double book ourselves so much today? Why did we do this? Like, I'm going to start crying, like, and just having to, call them affirmations or call them whatever you will, but just like reminding myself, like, the universe is going to provide. Like, let's think of like a worst case scenario is we do the presentation like inside of our minivan and it like maybe looks a little crappy, but it's very real. It's like, hey, this is the real life of a real life real estate investor. Or we choose to do it at like a bench or something and I'm cold for an hour. Like, I'm not going to die. I'm cold. Like, whatever. I got somebody to snuggle with at the end. But that's something that's like a day-to-day thing. It's like, I was dealing with that 15 minutes before we came on. And just reminding myself that like that energy isn't useful and the universe is going to provide beautiful and amazing things to me if I stay open to it. But when we shut down and we get wrapped up in our overwhelm or our frustration or our worry, we're telling the universe, like, I don't believe in you. I don't believe that you can provide for me. I don't believe that at noon Central Time on April 15th, you are going to deliver the most amazing experience of my life. And just like being open to that. And then miraculously, like literally like the hotel like came out of the sky.
Literally.
Right? Like,
and there was a question earlier, why are we doing like multifamily-ish stuff when we're the single family
let's
people?
make sure we hit that.
Yeah, so it speaks directly to that. So it would be so easy for us to live in fear. It is a choice what emotions you experience. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but April 1st, Fannie Freddie changed their guidelines and said, oh, we used to give investors these really lucrative single family investment loans. And nope, not anymore. There's too many buyers in the pool. We are taking investors out of the pool. Goodbye, investors. So we've spent the last however long building this entire single family business. We've got, we could sell 100 single family homes today if only we had a home to sell. Oh, and by the way, while all that's going on, we're going to have the lowest inventory for which we have data, right?
Well, that's why Fannie and Freddie is pulling investors out and saying no, thank you. Yeah.
So this would be like you're at McDonald's, you're McDonald's, and all of a sudden the government outlaws beef. Like all of a sudden we had 25 properties under contract in December, and we've got not very many. Not very many under contract right now. We hired people and built the course and grew the list, and then this happened. It'd be easy for us to be like freaking out, right? It would be easy for us to be living in fear and despair, and we mourn.
Oh yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
Like, we built this business. I've spent 5 years building this business, and then Fannie Freddie changed the guidelines on April 1st.
That's right. Yeah.
Like real tears.
Right. Or we could say, where is the universe taking us? We live in an abundant universe. And, for years we said that like multifamily, like the yield sucked, and like we like single family so much better. And, we did this Stonehaven deal, this townhome deal like 4 months ago. And so that's like townhomes. It's kind of like single family, kind of like multifamily, and it's worked out great. It's been better than we expected. We do manage some units of apartments, and we're not wild about it. We love the townhomes. And so we said, okay, we have this list of investors, people that we're in relationship with, that we've put hundreds of hours in investing in these people and getting them ready to invest. What else can we do to bring them value? Okay, well, here's this deal on the other side of the country in Tacoma that didn't fall into our laps. We asked the universe for it. We're talking to everybody about, hey, what do we do? What can we do? What do we do with this? And this person reached out and said, here's this perfect opportunity. So of course we're going to move forward. Like this is where the universe is telling us to go. Our paths are guided, and we follow that guidance. And it runs differently from, what we've done in the past. And that's okay, because we live in a universe of abundance. And,
this is probably the biggest pivot in our business. I would say like the next biggest pivot was when we created a property management company like 3 years ago. But we change our business strategy about every quarter. And that was just like very intuitive to us the whole time we've been doing real estate investing. But now that we have a staff, they would say like, oh, like quarter ago you were talking about this, and now you're talking about this. And we realized that is anxiety provoking for them. And so we told them very, very transparently and very truly, like the business strategy will always be changing. The core things, the things that you see on this slide, that stuff's never going to change. If you see that stuff changing, you need to say, hey guys, you're slipping, you're going away from your values. But the strategy will change. How much we're willing to pay for a property, what renovations we're doing, how we can rent it, what our pet policies are, what markets we're in, what interest rates look like, whatever. And if there's ever 2 or 3 quarters where the strategy hasn't changed, that's when you need to be worried about your jobs. That's when you need to think these people have like let off the gas and they're just to be checked out. So just being open to kind of what's ahead, and like a lot of it's like intuition. Some of it is like, data analysis of like, oh, there was a clear policy change on April 1st, so the business needs to change. But a lot of it is just like being in real estate all day, every day, and kind of getting a sense of how the strategy needs to change.
And by the way, I can tell you with extreme precision that one day,
we're 6 minutes over,
probably about 6 months from now, lending is going to change. Other lenders are going to enter the market to fill the gap that Fannie and Freddie stepped out of. I can't tell you with any precision who it's going to be or when it's going to happen or what it's going to look like, but I know with extraordinary detail that one day the universe is going to call us back to single family investing. Like we have no control over it. We can't plan for it. Well, we can plan for it, but I hope you understand how this strong feminine energy of having intuition with the universe and going with the flow, like this is so much more powerful than trying to have some sort of prescriptive plan. And the strategy is probably going to look different too. We're going to have to reinvent our business again. So hopefully that answers the question of why we're doing these multifamily deals. Normally we'd say, hey, here's some contact info for us. Reach out to us if you want to buy a single family home. And today we're saying, hey, reach out to us if you want to get involved in the next deal, because we're going to do a bunch more of these big multifamily deals probably, because you can't buy single family homes anymore. It's much harder to buy single family homes at this moment. So, your path is guided, and your job is only to find the path. And that's
the next step of the path.
The next step of the path. You don't have to see the whole path. We can't even see 6 months from now.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
I know you guys have a packed afternoon, so we can let you go, but this was beyond fantastic. I feel like we could keep going for like 3 more hours and not run out of stuff to talk about. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone
so very much
for listening to the recording.
Thank you so much. We super appreciate it. And I know everybody really enjoyed it. There's a ton of compliments in the chat. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Talk soon, guys. Bye.